Joining us now, the principal clinical psychologist at the Sydney Phobia Clinic, and the person who may have just cured our own Heinzie. Welcome, Corrie Ackland. Thanks. How'd you go with our mate over here?
Oh, he did so well, as you can see throughout the package. I think that he did a great job.
Well, you were wonderfully supportive, so thank you. It was a surreal experience.
How do you feel after?
Yeah, it was really bizarre walking out of there. I went in thinking this will be fine, and I thought virtual reality was a whole lot more confronting than I ever imagined.
Wow. So what is the difference between a phobia and a fear?
So fears are really adaptive, as I think you said earlier, that they actually come up in response to a real threat right in front of us, and it enables us to take a really quick action away that, you know, really saves our life.
Yeah.
When it becomes of a phobic concern, we have that same response, but there's no fear, there's nothing to really run from.
Right. And a lot of the times they seem really irrational fears, like clowns, arachnophobia, spiders, you know, those little spiders aren't really going to hurt you, but we have this irrational fear. Are they fears or phobias when it's something as simple as a clown or a spider?
A duck chasing you.
Yeah. well, I mean, if it's chasing us, we should run, though.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's exactly what it comes down to. If the symptoms that we get, which prepare us to run away or combat, are reasonable, then we'd say that's a fear. But if the situation, it would be impractical or even ridiculous to run or fight, then it's probably a phobia. It's definitely irrational.
So, Corrie, you used virtual reality as a form of exposure therapy for me. Are there people in circumstances where you get them to put that on and they completely freak out? And if so, what do you do with a client like that who can't even get to that point?
Sure. So in the lead up to the virtual reality exposure, it's really important that we've prepared the client appropriately.
Yep.
And we would never do anything that they're not ready for, obviously. So we've done some exposure leading up to the virtual reality, so we've already got a bit of a gauge as to where they're up to, and they're feeling ready to enter the experience. If there's any doubt, we might do some graduated exposure even to the virtual reality. We might try them in a different experience entirely, like dogs, or if they're not afraid of dogs. Or, you know, we might just see the virtual reality experience before the headset goes on, just on the screen, things like that. Okay. In saying that, sometimes people do have an unexpected reaction and they might just need a second, they might throw the headset off. In that situation, it really is about reminding them of those strategies and encouraging them back in to the virtual reality. Reapproaching is so powerful that it doesn't really matter if you've balked, as long as you're able to manage and re-participate.
Okay.
So, Corrie, what about social phobia or social anxiety, which I think can be really debilitating? Is that getting worse or more common? And what can people do about it?
Oh, I've got so many opinions about this.
Do share.
So we've got a couple of different social phobias. We have a really specific performance-based social phobia, so more public speaking, things like that. That is treated really well with a very brief intervention, just like what we do at the clinic. A more generalised social phobia, where it might be anxiety-provoking to be around people at all, to meet people, initiate conversations, small talk, things like that. It really comes down to fear of judgment, what those people will think, that kind of thing. And I actually do think that's getting worse, and I think technology's got so much to blame.
Oh, because we spend so much time in our own space. We're not
so connected to people, but not like this.
Yeah.
So we're
Face-to-face
losing
contact.
this skill, you know, and so to actually be in that situation, if it's new, it's going to get a little bit of that fight or flight response as well, if it's novel. And then if we react to that, we've got something huge
So
developing.
how do we treat it? If you have to go somewhere for work and you know you're walking to a room and you're getting real anxiety around that, to meet those people, what do you do?
I always say to my clients that if you're feeling that response, it's really an indicator that we need to be doing this stuff more. That's a rustiness that we need to nip in the bud. Ideally just by going, oh, I need to get out more, I need to get amongst these people more. But if it really feels too hard, we need to take a step back, graduate that program, go back to where you do feel more comfortable, and then work your way back up.
Wow.
It's just like a Couch to 5K plan, really, but around things that we're anxious about.
Wow.
And then implementing those other beautiful things in life that we always speak about on the show, meditation, mindfulness, to helping stay calm in these chaotic situations.
Yeah.
And what happens if you leave a phobia untreated?
These things, they're they're just learning pathways, really. So like anything that we're learning, it's always trying to optimise, get better and better and better. If we're trying to get better and better and better at a phobia, then obviously it's going to become more distressing and more impairing. So left untreated, even without your own intuitive efforts, it's probably going to start causing some pretty big deals in your life.
Well, Corrie, thanks so much for coming in and thanks for looking after our man
you.
Heinzie. Still looks a bit scared to me, though.
I'll see you next week.
Phobia Corrie now.
That's a 10-year project, that one, I think, to look after Heinzie.